it louder, up and up and up. We're gonna get the music rocking, gonna get the bodies jumping, wanna get the party pumping round here. We're gonna get the walls shaking with the noise we will be making, gonna get the party pumping round here. Saying hey, hey, cheers, we fear no beer. To all my brothers, sisters, and here we say hey, hey, cheers.
Welcome everybody to episode 5 of the Smoke Show here on the FHN Network. As always, I'm Dark Guy, also known as Jason Maslico, but who actually cares who that is? And my co-host, the absolutely amazing Ryan Drury. Welcome to another episode of the Smoke Show, bud. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Everybody cares who you are, man. Come on, let's be honest here. That's what they tune in for. I don't think they tune in for me and my messy hair hidden under this Canada hat. That's for sure.
Oh, I just had to go for a little self-loathing there, see if it gave me some points.
It's Monday.
It's Monday. It's been a long Monday. I just made it in the door with all that nasty weather out there. So if you happen to be tuning in, listening to this while you're driving, please drive safe out there. The roads are a little slick. Snow's coming down quick and heavy, at least where I am. It seems to be all over Ontario. I don't know about you, Ryan. How's things out your way?
It's snowing. I mean, I wouldn't describe it as horrific by any means. I've seen it way worse even this year. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit worse over by where you are, but over here it's snowing, but it's not horrific yet.
Yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
It's been coming down pretty quick. It was a slick ride home. I'll say that much. Good thing I'm a northern boy. I'm used to driving in this stuff. When growing up in Sudbury, and this is a do as I say, not as I do. We'd look forward to this, my friends and I, when the snow started coming down and it was just like a little bit slick. You'd wait till the businesses closed and went and found an empty parking lot, and you learned how to drive in the snow in those empty parking lots. It was a lot of fun, but probably not the smartest thing we ever did.
Yeah, we did the same type of thing. There was a really big parking lot at the edge of town in Arthur where I grew up, and I don't know that any of us learned anything, but we definitely had fun.
Well, I guess you learn how to control an out of control slide when you're really
sure. Sure, we did. Yeah.
Well, we got a good show lined up today. We're going to be we're going to touch on the World Juniors a little bit. Obviously, we got to talk football, especially with the Bills' big win last night. We're going to get into the Lou Marsh Award and World Juniors. That's one that I can't wait to dive into. Got some comments and thoughts about some of their omissions from the roster, but why don't we start off with the NFL scene?
Well, I mean, let's start with your Buffalo Bills again. I mean, obviously another big win, a statement win against the at one time undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers, who lost literally live on this show last week to the Washington football team 23-17. Pretty incredible stuff, by the way. Thank you to the Washington football team. I bet on them to cover the spread, so thank you very much. Won me a cool $50 on a $3 bet. And yeah, but with the Bills, like they're legit. Like, I mean, in terms of the AFC, that's where all the elite teams are. I think people are starting to feel a little down on the Steelers now after 2 straight losses. They're still a really good team, and I think defensively they're probably still the best of the big contenders. But Buffalo, like at this point, you've got to be saying, why not us? I mean, would anybody be shocked if they won the Super Bowl? I'll go that far. I'll go that far to say, would you be shocked? Of course, you would probably have to go through Kansas City and figure out a way to stop Mahomes, who, let's be honest, the last couple weeks in at least the first half of games has looked a little sloppy. His offensive line not doing him any wonders this week, even though they managed to come back and thunder the Dolphins. But still, well, they didn't thunder them. I mean, the Dolphins covered the spread again, which I also bet on. So that made me happy. Thank you, Brian Flores. But
flash up the Gamblers Anonymous number here for Ryan.
No, I'm okay. It's not gambling when you win a lot. No, I'm just joking. It's a bad thing to say. But seriously, like Kansas City's probably the team that everybody would say it's likely Buffalo would have to probably go through them. But why couldn't they? Like when Buffalo are hot and Josh Allen is getting time and he's making good decisions and Stephon Diggs is, man, if he's not the best route runner in the NFL, at least this year, like he's top 3, you put him right in there with Devontae Adams and DeAndre Hopkins. Like Diggs has done himself all kinds of good for his reputation and his career. He is just on fire. What a brilliant season that he has had. That trade looks unbelievable now. I mean, yes, Minnesota got Jefferson and he looks like a really good player, but Diggs is just legit and he has speed to burn. Why not Buffalo? Like, why could they not potentially be the ones that come out of the AFC? And then you look over across the country to the NFC. Like, I don't really see a big powerhouse team over there. I guess Green Bay in the sense of having number 12 under center, arguably the most talented quarterback we've ever seen in Aaron Rodgers. Their defense isn't really anything that special. And then you look down and you go, the Saints, yeah, they're still pretty good football team. They lost to the Eagles with a rookie quarterback this week. You look at the Seahawks and they somehow got stopped by the New York Giants without Saquon Barkley, without Daniel Jones last week. And, you know, the 49ers have been obliterated by injuries. They're not going to be doing anything. The Cardinals are okay. Like, if Buffalo conceivably could get through a Pittsburgh or a Kansas City on their way, because they're not going to have to play a wild card game. They're going to win the division. They only need one more win. They could conceivably end up in the Super Bowl and play a team that just simply isn't as good as any of the opponents that they will play in the AFC. Now, it's the Super Bowl. Anything can happen. But I'm going to tell you right now, and like, you know, other Patriots fans out there, I'm a diehard Patriots fan. I still believe in Bill. We're going to get a good draft pick this year. That's all I care about. But I've said this before. I don't care that Buffalo's doing well. I feel good for you and Bills Mafia. You deserve this. And of course, it happens in a year when you can't even be in the stadium, which sucks. But seriously, like, start believing right now if you're not already. Like, I think Buffalo are a legit Super Bowl threat, and I actually think they might win. I think they might win it.
Well, I can tell you, I put it out last night after the game on my Twitter. Dear NFL, take note. The Buffalo Bills are the real deal. And you ask why not? Why can't it be the Bills? And before last night's game, I would have had a couple answers for you. I support my Bills. I support my team all the time. I want them to win. Prior to last night's game, I had some doubts. I had some reservations.
In what sense?
That the Bills were equipped just yet to make a legitimate push at a Super Bowl. However,
what are they missing? What are they missing that's going to deter them from beating some of the other teams that don't have some of the things the Bills have?
Well, prior to last night's game, regardless of his MVP caliber season, and I legitimately put Josh Allen as the third ranked potential MVP candidate right now behind Mahomes and Wilson. I don't see anybody else that
Derrick Henry
most valuable to your team. Yeah.
Derrick, like top 5. I'd put Josh Allen in my top 5. He might be 4 or 5, but I agree. Go on.
Okay, Ron McLean, let me finish here.
Nice. That's a quality chirp.
What I was getting at was my question mark surrounded Josh Allen being able to lead the Bills into a Super Bowl contender this season. Loved what he's been doing all year. Loved the way he came out of the gates flying. And then he argumentatively stumbled for a couple games. But what happened last night that changed my mind was the first quarter. The Pittsburgh pass rush was getting all over him. And that had a little bit to do with the offensive line not being able to stop, Hayward from coming through. They made the adjustment, but not only did they make the adjustment, Josh Allen made adjustments last night. He went from not being able to complete a pass to absolutely dissecting the Steelers defense, play after play after play. He stood in there and took the punishment. He was able to be patient and wait for people like Diggs to get open. Knew when to pass off for a play action to Beasley instead. Like, every aspect of how that game played out last night just grew my faith in Josh Allen. That was already phenomenal. I already believed this kid was going to be the one to bring a Super Bowl to Buffalo. He's going to be the one to bring a Super Bowl to Bills Mafia. But last night solidified that for me. When I see this guy standing in there, taking punishment to make plays, and like I said, just absolutely doing what he wanted to with the offense against, they were missing a couple key contributors, their defense with injuries and whatnot. But that's still a pretty formidable defense over in Pittsburgh, and he just absolutely did whatever he wanted with them. He led that team to a victory last night with, obviously, Stephon Diggs' amazing performance. And you're right, the trade's looking like it worked out perfectly for both teams. It's rare in sports you see one of those, but I'm pretty sure Vikings fans are happy with what they got. And I know everybody I talk to in Bills Mafia is absolutely ecstatic with how Diggs has been working out for us. So at this point in time, when you ask me why not the Bills, I can't argue with you, because the fact is right now, the way the teams are playing, even the top contenders, if I'm KC, I don't want to see the Bills.
I agree.
I am looking at that potential matchup and thinking, if there's one team that is actually going to be able to run and gun and knock off KC, it's the Bills. So I'm a believer. I would not be shocked to see Bills Mafia celebrating our first ever Super Bowl championship this year. And here's to hoping it happens.
Yeah, and God, wouldn't it be nice? I mean, just like, I know on the other side, in hockey terms, it's fun to rag on Buffalo and the Sabres. They suck, and Leaf fans fill their building and whatever. But like, this is a very passionate sports city. Like, they love their teams, and God, do they deserve just something right to happen one time.
Well,
and this could be the year. And here's the other thing. And for any fellow members of Pats Nation that are listening, please don't freak out. I'm not comparing Josh Allen to our guy, but I'm just saying, think about this as well, right? Why could Josh Allen, with all the talent he has, and a guy like Stephon Diggs, who's just hot to trot right now, Stephon Diggs is by far the most talented offensive weapon that the Buffalo Bills have ever had in team history. I can't think of a single player on offense that has been this dominant at the wide receiver position, certainly. I mean, there was that guy who, got into some legal trouble, let's call it, back in the day. We all know who I'm talking about. His name is a popular juice, okay? And that happens to be his nickname. He was pretty good outside of being an abhorrent human being, but outside of him,
I don't know who you're talking about. Like,
oh, well, you can Google it. So
throw this glove on for a second.
Yeah. Ask him if the glove fits. Oh God. Outside of him also being a running back, I think Stephon Diggs is the most talented offensive weapon they've ever had outside of the quarterback position.
I was going to throw it out there because the guy you're talking about wasn't a wide receiver.
No, I know. He was a running back. You all know who I'm talking about, I think.
Last night I saw it on social media, and there was a couple people, sports journalists out there, that were saying Stephon Diggs is a blank wide receiver, as in top 5, top 10. And I wanted to answer those questions, and I sat there for like a good hour thinking about it. And obviously, I'm going to go right here and say, when I was going through my thinking process, you've got Devin Adams.
Yeah, Devontae Adams.
Sorry. You got Tyreek Hill.
Yep. Yeah, Hill's
and
up there.
I started to struggle. And this isn't being biased, but when I started comparing the next echelon, okay, DeAndre Hopkins, okay, put him up there. So you got 3.
I still think DeAndre Hopkins is the best wide receiver in football.
Okay, so but
Personally.
I got past the top three.
Yep.
Then it was like, okay, his former teammate Adam Thielen. Is he better than Diggs right now?
I don't think so. I'd rather have Diggs, is what I'll say.
You start looking at like an Amari Cooper.
Yeah, Cooper's really talented. I don't know. Like there are times against like good defensive teams where he gets swallowed up.
Absolutely. And I mean, hey, even when Dak before Dak got hurt, he was throwing 350, 400-yard games almost every week. And you weren't seeing Cooper rack up the yards like
he'd have like 80 yards.
Yeah. So I just started going team by team and started looking at their number one wide receiver. And legitimately, if I'm going to be very honest, and again, not with my Bills Mafia glasses on, I put Stephon Diggs at number 4. Tell me I'm wrong.
Behind who?
Behind Adams, Hill, and Hopkins.
Like, honestly, I think I would even put him ahead of Hill right now. Certainly head to head. Like, for me, it's DeAndre Hopkins, Davante Adams right there. You could coin flip those guys, really. I'm just such a big D-Hop fan.
Yeah.
But Hill and Diggs this season, like what I'm seeing right now, not to take anything away from Super Bowl champion Tyreek Hill, that's a coin flip for me too. I like, if you want to sit here and with your Bills glasses on and tell me that Diggs is number 3, I would agree with you. I would put him right up there. Like he has established himself as a premier deep threat and excellent route runner, as good as anybody in the league right now. And my point from before, just talking about, why not Josh Allen in this team? When you think about, and it was a different time with a better defense, and I love that everybody detracts from Tom Brady because sometimes the Patriots had good defenses, as if he didn't have to throw the ball or something. But in his second year in the NFL, Tom Brady had to take over for Drew Bledsoe, who shredded, like he punctured a lung on that huge hit against the Jets. I can't remember who it was that hit him, but just watch it. Like you can hear it. It's just, Drew Bledsoe almost died on the field that day. They're lucky they got him to the hospital when they did, because he had such bad internal bleeding. Tom Brady has to step in as a second-year quarterback and ends up winning the Super Bowl against the greatest show on turf. Why could Josh Allen, who's been taking every rep under center for 2-3 seasons now, and is totally familiar and locked in with his teammates on offense, why could a guy like that not do the same thing? Tom Brady walked in and took over for a starter and won his second year in the league. Why could Josh Allen not do it in a year where they're in the upper echelon of the AFC, which is clearly the best conference this year? And I don't see a team in the NFC other than Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers having a 400-plus yard, 4-touchdown day. There's no other team in the NFC that legitimately scares me for Buffalo. Why the hell not?
Yeah,
why not?
The Super Bowl, for me, the Super Bowl champion's coming out of the AFC. Whether that's the Bills or not, Super Bowl champion's coming out of the AFC. And I agree with you. I look at Green Bay, you got Jones, who can dismantle a team at any point in time.
If they give him the ball.
If they give him the ball, yeah. But you've got Adams, you got Van Scantling, you've got Lazard if he's healthy. Like there's weapons on the team beyond that Rodgers can utilize beyond Davante Adams. So
for sure, their defense isn't that good.
Sorry?
Their defense isn't that good.
No. And if you're going to get into a run and gun matchup against, say, the Bills, I'm taking my money on the Bills, Bills defense being able to shut Rodgers down and keep him in check. Not the whole game, but maybe when it counts. So
I would agree. The
only team, and I agree with you, would be Green Bay, and I don't see it happening. Whether it's whether it's the Bills or somebody else, AFC champion is going to be Super Bowl champs is going to be out of the AFC. And,
Yeah.
Where was it? The one thing I was a little bit surprised about yesterday was KC and Miami actually holding into that game as much as they did.
Well, here's the thing, right? And again, I took the Dolphins to cover the 7.5, so I was very happy. Thank you again, Brian Flores, former Patriots linebacker coach, who's the head coach down there. And like, look out for Miami. Like, as the Patriots kind of nosedive here, Miami and Buffalo Buffalo is already there. Miami is on the rise. Like, the Jets are going to be horrific forever, it seems. But, like, look out for the Dolphins. Like, they might end up being, for at least the next few years, as the Patriots try and rebuild from basically ground zero. They have the worst offensive weapons in the entire NFL. Look out for Miami here, man. Like, I like Devontae Parker. I like Tua. Even Fitzmagic was rocking and rolling earlier this year. Their defense can play. Like, their defense can really, really play. They were victimizing Patrick Mahomes yesterday. Like, 3 sacks. They were chasing him all over the field. They actually, I think it was like the longest sack in 30 years or something. They got like a 30-yard sack on him. Like, it was crazy. Like, Brian Flores is a brilliant defensive mind. Brian Flores is what everybody thought Matt Patricia was. But the difference is that Brian Flores has a leadership quality where he can actually adjust and get through to people. And he actually has personnel that were underappreciated, whereas Matt Patricia has had a long time as a head coach in Detroit. He's obviously been fired. And he just couldn't get it going. I think that he is a career assistant. He is a career coordinator. I don't think Matt Patricia has the gumption to be a head coach, whereas Brian Flores quite clearly does. Yeah. And so I'm not that shocked at what the Dolphins were doing. I didn't think they would win the game. No, but the way they've been playing and the way that team's been progressing, I'm not shocked that they covered the spread against KC. Like, these guys can play. They're going to be scary.
You add a legitimate running threat to that offense.
Yeah.
That, take some of the predictability away of your passing game because they just don't have it right now. They've tried different options over the last couple of years trying to figure something out there. Kenyon Drake started to look like he was going to be okay and then ended up in Arizona. And, well, he's had an up and down season there as well. I know they got one young kid right now, for whatever reason, off the top of my head, I can't remember his name, but he looks like he might be okay, but they don't have a solid future superstar that's going to lug the rock up the field. And as soon as they can get that, I think they'll be a little better off. Hopefully not too much, but too much better off, because I don't want them challenging my Bills too much.
I think that they're going to give the Bills problems. And even you look at tight end, I like that Gesicki kid. He's shown flashes he can really play. Yeah, if they can get a legitimate, even like mid-range, consistent running attack. And remember, a lot of their running backs have been injured for a lot of the year. And then you've got Tua, who can shimmy and shake with the best of them. Watch out for these Dolphins, man. Like, they actually look like a pretty scary team.
Now, what did you make of Jalen Hurts? Big league debut.
He was pretty good. And let's be honest here, that Saints defense isn't a joke.
No.
They're still pretty solid. And, Philly comes out and gets a big win, and that's keeping them in contention for that horrible NFC least division. And I think that it's been confirmed that he's going to start again this week. And why the hell wouldn't you? Carson Wentz is one of the most interesting case studies in the NFL right now. It's bizarro world what's happened to this guy. Now, obviously, there's a disclaimer where, again, he's had so many injuries, but when he is out there on the field, I just don't feel like he has any command consistently from play to play of that offense. He panics a lot. when he loses his first option, he cannot check down throws. I think that some of the injuries have affected his ability to scramble, because remember when he came in, he was another one of these new breed quarterbacks that could run around and, juke and jive and get out of the way. He is slower because of the injuries, and so that takes away some of his effectiveness. And then, really what it all boils down to, I can say a million things here, and the Eagles have turned into a mess after winning a Super Bowl not that long ago, is simply this. He just can't throw the ball that well. He's not accurate. He is an average thrower in terms of accuracy. He's got a big arm. He can gun the ball down the field. He can't paint it through a little window into a guy's hands on a consistent basis the way you see Rodgers, Brady in his heyday, Mahomes now. He doesn't have that. If he does, he certainly hasn't shown it. He just straight up can't throw the ball that well in terms of accuracy. And ultimately, that's what's going to probably end up with him losing his job. And remember, he's got a 3-year deal kicking in next year for $120 million. I believe 70 of it's guaranteed.
Yeah,
like, what do the Eagles do with that?
That's exactly what I was going to say. That's going to be almost impossible to move. I don't know.
It's hard, right?
You swallow it and buy it out. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And I'm just struggling off the top of my head to think of a team that would want to take a flyer on that.
That's a big gamble, no matter how bad you need a quarterback.
Well, yeah, because
that's a big gamble.
I'm thinking, right, because even the bad teams this year, like the Jets, are probably going to draft Trevor Lawrence unless he says he doesn't want to come, which I wouldn't blame him because they're a tire fire. The Patriots won't want him. They're just going to draft a new quarterback and keep Cam if they have to with Stidham. Who's going to take him? I don't know. Philly is in a weird spot here, but I mean, Hurts was pretty impressive, and I think that it's his job to lose now because Wentz hasn't done anything on a consistent basis. He didn't even win them the Super Bowl. Yeah. So, I mean, what attachment does the organization really have to him other than now probably sitting there scratching their heads going, Jesus, we got to give this guy $120 million. He's not even starting for us down the stretch in a divisional battle. It doesn't look good.
Yesterday was the perfect indictment of why I hate fantasy football.
Oh, yeah? You had a tough day?
Absolutely hate it. I love it, but I hate it.
You didn't have Josh Jacobs, did you?
Sorry?
You didn't have Josh Jacobs, did you?
No. What happened is it was the playoffs, first round of the playoffs in one of my 2 quarterback leagues. I was set up pretty good for the year with Aaron Rodgers and Dak Prescott. Well, Dak, as we all know, went down for the season. At which point in time, I started scrambling for what I thought was going to be my long-term fix going into the playoffs. My team was first, second in the league all year, built off my running backs of Ezekiel Elliott, Aaron Jones, and Robinson out of Jacksonville. So my 3 running backs were basically winning me every matchup, but I needed to solidify a second QB going into the playoffs. And at one point in time, I had Jalen Hurts and Mitch Trubisky sitting on my bench, just stashed for this time of year because I figured I knew one of them was going to get their job, either Mitch was going to get his job back or Jalen Hurts was going to take over in Philly. Well, injuries hit my team hard. I had to drop my excess of quarterbacks to fill other team needs. And doesn't Trubisky go off for 30 fantasy points yesterday? Jalen Hurts for 28. And I had Mike Glennon.
Oh, no.
Who got pulled after an abysmal, I think, 50 yards he threw before he got pulled. I hate fantasy football.
Yeah, I know what you mean, buddy. I'm crossing my fingers. We're coming down to the wire here in my league for playoff spots. I'm in a 10-team league. Only 4 of us get in. I'm sitting in 4th. and I'm losing right now by 15 points. But tonight I have one Nicholas Chubb playing for the Browns, and he could go off for 40 points if he feels like it. So let's just see if he can rescue and solidify a playoff spot for me. We'll see. But yeah, fantasy football, you know, you can do all the reading and you know, be an expert and look at charts all day. At the end of the day, what it really is it's all luck.
No,
It really is. Like, there is skill in knowing how to, you know, how to make good waiver wire pickups, make good trades, and ensure that you have a good lineup. There's skill involved in that, but like, you just never know what's going to happen, especially this year. Like, for anybody who's going to like brag and rub it in their friends' faces that they won the league this year, it's like, this year is not the year to do it. Like, you had quarterbacks that were missing games because of COVID, other guys missing games because of COVID, rescheduled games, extended weeks. Like,
you know what? I'd still brag.
yeah,
I'd still be that guy.
you just brag a little less though. You maybe don't, like, you know, pop a champagne bottle and spray everybody, but
it is a lot of luck. You know, the amount of times I look at the end of the year going into the playoffs, and perfect example, one of the teams I'm in with some buddies there right now. It's normally a cash league. We decided not to do a cash league this year, just simply for the fact of COVID, injuries, that kind of thing. So we didn't know what we were looking at, and I'm kind of glad we did, because I'm sitting with like 1,789 points on the year, which is good for first overall in the league points-wise,
right,
by about 250.
Ooh.
I'm sitting in seventh at like 5-9 now.
Isn't that weird, eh? So you
it's
have
like,
one of those.
I've got like 250 more points than the next closest team, but I'm in seventh with a losing record.
The commissioner of our league is like that. And so you have one of those teams that's wildly up and down. You get 190 points one week, and then the next week you get 87.
No. What my team was every time somebody played me this year, they
had an amazing week
type thing.
Right, yeah.
So if their team average was 120 points a week, they got 170. They got 140 to beat my 139. And
I'll say this. Last week, I think it was, I suffered the worst beatdown in fantasy sports that I have ever seen in my life. Let me paint this little picture for you. I had a pretty week. Kyler Murray's my quarterback, and a couple weeks ago, he was not very good. He was decent this week. Like, it was just yuck. I think I finished with 127 points. Okay, that's an average week. The guy I played had 241. Have you ever heard of a score like that? 241?
In a standard league, only once or twice I've gotten over 200 in like a standard scoring league.
I have never got the highest score I've ever gotten in our full PPR league that we play on Yahoo was 196, and I was like, 196? Oh my God, I should frame this. Our buddy Nick got 241. He had like 4 guys with 40 plus points. I almost threw up. I was sick. I was sick to my stomach. It was disgusting, but hey, man, that's fantasy sports. I'm really good at fantasy hockey. I win all the time.
So do you? We're gonna have to get you into a couple leagues I run and see how that works out for you.
I'll join and I'll break hearts. Let's do it.
When we're talking about fantasy hockey, some of my friends have gotten to the point and leagues where I'm in that I don't know anybody personally. I've just been playing with these people for years. Somebody in one league says, "Hey, we've got a team available in this league. If anybody wants to join," I end up in, a dozen or so leagues. And when it became well known that I was a hockey scout, some of my leagues wanted to kick me out.
That's pretty funny.
Because I have a pretty good track record when it comes to fantasy hockey. And there was a couple leagues where I had won like 2-3 years in a row at this point in time. And it started becoming out that, pretty sure this guy's a hockey scout. some people wanted to kick me out. They didn't want the challenge anymore. They're like, well, no wonder he wins every year. He's a hockey scout. It's like, well,
See, that's lazy to me. I'd want to beat you.
exactly. That's what I thought. That's what I would say, right?
I'd be like, I want to take this guy down. Like, let's go.
Like if I find out the head scout for the Ottawa Senators or something is in one of my fantasy pools, I'm going to be laughing every time I beat him.
Yeah, exactly. That would kind of be fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know.
But speaking of football teams going back, what any guesses as to what the Washington football team is going to rename their team?
Well, I know that like earlier in the year when FedEx said that they wouldn't sponsor the stadium anymore unless they changed it, there was a really popular poll with a lot of votes where there were, I think, 4 options on it, and they had like Red Wolves, something else that like a popular theory was that they were going to name it after I believe an airborne army squadron that's famous out of the area. Like I'd be okay with that. I didn't think Red Wolves sounded that bad either. Just really anything but the team that they used to call themselves would be better. Like at this point they can call themselves the Washington Play-Dohs. I don't really care. Just anything is better than the
football team.
That and the quite clearly racist name that they called themselves forever. Yeah, like whatever it was, the one that I saw in that poll that was named after like an army squadron, I'm all for that. Yeah, like that'd be great. I liked Red Wolves though. I thought that was sick.
And as we've seen, we've now got the former Cleveland Indians announcing that they're going to be following suit and changing their name.
Yeah, and like again, it's kind of funny how like here I'll say this, and I'm going to just say some of these people are like this because I'm a huge sports fan, you're a huge sports fan. We can all get a little crazy sometimes, especially when it comes to our team. Some sports fans are so dumb, and it really taints the image of sports fanatics, which fan is short for. We're crazy about our teams. We're crazy about the sports that we love to enjoy. Like it really paints some of the community in a bad light because some sports fans are just so dumb. And it really comes out in situations like this. Like the now former, I guess, Cleveland Indians are going to change their name. I agree with it. Is it as bad a name as the old Washington football team's name? I would say no, but I'm a white guy. I'm not of indigenous heritage. My best friend is Native, and I'm sure that him not being a sports fan, he would probably say, I don't know that I care that much, but I'm definitely okay that they're changing it. And a lot of people are adamant that they change it. And I just think that, like, when the people come out that are like, but they've been called the Indians for 105 years, and if they change the name, I'll never watch again. And I'm like, good, man. The MLB makes $13 billion a year. You think that they care that you and 50 of your idiots don't show up at the park anymore? Oh, no. Like, the good that will be done out of this, and really this is a conversation in sports at large, and we'll touch on another unfortunate situation in the sports world later involving our buddy Alphonso Davis, Lou Marsh Award winner, co-winner, I should say.
I was gonna throw in the co-winner.
It's one of those things where if you love your team, right, outside of, your weird crazy political views, and if you're a political person, that's fine. I'm not, because it just leads to arguments and I don't care. But if you take yourself out of going, but they're called the Indians and my dad's dad watched the Indians. If you take yourself out of that for a second and you go, I really love the Cleveland baseball team, which is what I will refer to them as now going forward. If you love the Cleveland baseball team or the Washington football team or whatever, you really love the team. And sports is all about money at the end of the day. Yes, we think it's all about us, and to a degree it is, but your team will do well, right, if they make lots of money, correct? Like if your team conceivably makes more money than a bunch of the other teams, your chance of success is greater. Would you agree?
Unless you're in the NHL and you have a hard cap.
But even then, generally, if you're a team that makes more money, Arizona will not outperform Toronto. They shouldn't, right? Generally, and history has shown that.
Yeah, there was also there was also a long time when the Leafs were still one of the most profitable teams in the league and couldn't win a game if their life depended on it. So
now to be fair,
it was
that is because they hired horrific people for jobs that were very crucial.
Yes,
and they traded away all their draft picks, which even if you're rich is not a great strategy.
Well, only
so
if you're
outside
spending
of that,
the money to sign the big free agent talent to come in.
Sure, I guess if you want to bring Owen Nolan to Toronto, fine. But outside of that example, generally you agree if you make more money than your counterparts, you have a better chance of success, yes?
Of course.
So if we agree on that, then wouldn't you think that if we all made sports more inclusive for the people that go, hey, I'm not a big fan of you calling the team the Redskins, and maybe if you didn't, me and my kids would come to the game. So if that's the thing, right, where we're trying to make sports, hockey took a beating last week with like that hazing story and stuff. Like if the goal is to make sports more inclusive for women, people of color, indigenous people, especially in this case, and more of them went, hey, the team is actually trying to do something nice for our heritage and not call themselves that anymore. Something that their people would consider a derogatory term because the settlers, when they came here, not to be history guy, thought they were in India, and so they just called them Indians when they weren't, right? So if the goal is to make more people come by doing these gestures and more people show up and your team makes more money because of that, wouldn't that be something that you would be fired up about?
Yeah,
and some people just aren't.
When it comes down to the now Cleveland baseball team, like some of the reactions I saw from some people was like this was complete utter shock and awe. They didn't see it coming. They should have seen this coming a few years ago when they got rid of the Chief Wahoo symbol.
Yep.
The mascot, the face on the jerseys, on the hats. The minute that was gone, you knew the days of the Cleveland Indians name were numbered. So
if you didn't know that,
don't act like this is some kind of surprise.
No. Like if you're a sport, and that's what I mean, some sports fans are dumb. And like other people are too. I'm not saying it's just sports fans. Not all sports fans are. I'd like to think we aren't. But like you're that attached to the name, like it's not that big a deal at the end of the day. Maybe I'm just a person that's a little too easygoing for people and things just don't generally bother me. Like if you can't go to sleep at night because the Cleveland Indians don't want to call themselves that anymore,
you know,
go get help.
So here's a moment of clarity and honesty. 15 years ago, I want to say it was about 15 years ago, some of these conversations started surfacing about, maybe even longer, about the Redskins, the Indians,
sure,
the Blackhawks. As a sports fan who wasn't educated enough, I kind of didn't really understand why those could be viewed so negatively.
I agree. I was probably the same.
That back then, I could have said that it's more almost like a tribute or paying homage to than an insult. But as I matured and educated myself and talked to my friends that are Indigenous, I started to learn a little bit more about it. and understand why there are people that feel so strongly about this. Like, I actually have a Métis background. I actually have enough Métis to apply for like status and all that kind of stuff. I never did. And it's because I didn't grow up with Indigenous beliefs. I would just be taking advantage of a bloodline. And I never thought that was right.
And I respect that.
But knowing what I know now and how I've educated myself, I can't believe there's people out there that do have an issue with getting rid of it. And it's like some of it, I don't know if it's just being ignorant or lazy that they don't want to take the time to change or put that effort forward. I don't know. I feel like I'm in a better spot for educating myself and taking the time to understand why this could be offensive to certain groups of individuals, and it'd be, the world would be better off if more people did.
Oh, Jason. Okay, so what you're saying is you're a normal person and feel feelings for other people. That what's that word? Compassion. Right. Oh, yeah. So you're able to actually, what you're telling me is, this is shocking stuff, people. You're actually able to look beyond your own friggin' head and feel things for other people. Amazing. Isn't that incredible? Doesn't it feel good?
We're changing the world one podcast at a time here on the Smoke Show, buddy.
Whoa, yeah, we're being very self-righteous now. No, it's just like, come on, man. Like, because you love the team, at least in my experiences, you fall in love with teams and franchises because of players or an experience you had. Maybe for a lot of Leaf fans, it's dad taking them to Maple Leaf Gardens back in the day, and wow, like what a building, right? Or for Cleveland Indians fans, it's, going to the ballpark. They've sucked for a long time, but I believe they actually now are the longest World Series drought. But hey, you had Major League. So, it's for me, it's getting attached to players. Ole Kolzig, Peter Bondra, Steve Konowalchuk. How about that? Dale Hunter.
You dug deep for that one.
How about that? Steve Eminger. Yeah, let's take it. My girlfriend just cheered. That was her favorite player. He was a Kitchener Ranger. Like, those are the guys that you get attached to. I love the Capitals. And then Ovechkin happened. And now I'm dyed in the wool. It'll never change, right? If tomorrow Ted Leonsis was like, I actually don't like the Capitals name, we're changing it to the Washington Rectangles, I would be like, go Rectangles. I don't care what the team's called.
I don't
Just
know.
Score.
I don't know if I'd be accepting of the original 6 Toronto Maple Leafs changing their name to like the Toronto Spin Towers.
And they never will. They never will, because they don't have to. And the Caps won't either. But like, there are things where you just kind of have to go, life is bigger than sports. And for some people, they don't want to be involved with something as cool and awesome and fun and exciting and inviting for a large part as sports can be, because of things like this. And I can completely understand why someone of Indigenous descent would not want to put a jersey on with the term Redskins on it.
Yeah.
And if you can't wrap your head around that, then don't watch.
Yeah.
We don't need you. And the team name doesn't matter that much.
So
go to bed.
So where do you think the Chicago Blackhawks fall into this whole renaming of teams? I know a while back Chicago came out and explained that they're aware of some groups that may be offended by their name. Explained in great depth actually where they got the Blackhawks name from, and said that they would not entertain changing their name.
Yeah. So, at this point now, I hockey fans should get themselves ready for potentially someday the Blackhawks changing their name. I don't think they will, because of what you said. Now, the Blackhawks have been running like an education program for a long time about the local history of Indigenous peoples, and they are called the Blackhawks what's the word I'm looking for? In tribute to, if you will, or an homage to Chief Blackhawk, who was a real guy. Yes. and helped, I believe he helped settlers fight in the Civil War, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be. But he was a real guy, and he was a war chief, and the image of their logo is an image of him. So in that respect, and it's the best logo in sports. Like, the Blackhawks logo their jersey is just chef's kiss. Yeah. It's such a good jersey. But if there was enough opposition to it, I really wouldn't care if they changed it. I'm sure some Blackhawks fans would be upset. I'll say, and again, I don't really know what kind of leg I have to stand on here. I'm a white guy. I've never felt oppressed in my life or discriminated against or whatever. I'll say, though, in my opinion, that their logo and team name differ greatly, in my opinion, from what we saw in Washington and Cleveland.
See,
that's what I'll say.
For me, with all the background and effort the Chicago organization has gone to educate and explain exactly what the root of the name is, I can see them maybe changing the logo.
Yeah.
But not.
Yeah.
And there's been one floating around, a concept logo for the Blackhawks. This one's been around probably for 10, 15 years. All you have to do is Google Blackhawks concept logo, and it is literally a Black Hawk, kind of a lot like the Eagles Eddie used to have on the side of his mask.
Right. I've seen
with the tribal feathers off of it. I think
it's sharp.
That is a sharp and absolutely beautiful logo. I do have reservations of wanting to change any of the original 6 teams, but again, I've educated myself. I get it.
Of course.
If we're at a point in time where the Blackhawks logo has to change, then so be it.
Yeah, I'm not going to be crying over it. It's because, listen, at the end of the day, you're still going to get to watch your sports. And for all those morons who are like, if Cleveland changes the name, I'm never going back. You'll be there opening day with 7 hot dogs and 40 beers, Dennis. You'll be there, like, with mustard all over your brand new Cleveland whatever's jersey. You'll be there. And so, like, the noise, it's like anything, though, on social media, folks. Social media is a bad place to go to get a read on anything.
Yeah.
Because the vocal, insane people are the loudest and most retweeted. And so it's not a good barometer of how a majority of sane people actually feel. And for anybody out there that's, felt this way about sports for a long time, not an inclusive place, for me, whatever community you're in that's felt oppressed, I want you to know I'd love to watch a game of any sport with you anytime. I want more people to be able to enjoy sports for the reasons that I've always enjoyed them: the entertainment and the camaraderie of enjoying it with other people, no matter who they are, and not having to argue over what logo is offensive. I just don't care anymore. I just want to enjoy the sport, and no matter what they're called, the Cleveland Rectangles, you're going to be at the ballpark, and I'd love to go with you. So just calm down about the name. It's all going to be fine.
So sticking with the hockey, and this is perhaps the last part I'm going to bring up. on this line of discussion. Braden Holtby's mask with the Vancouver Canucks.
Oh, right. Yeah, I saw that. So yeah, Dave Gunnarsson, obviously probably the most famous goalie mask artist in the world. I know there are a number of other guys that do
number
it.
one.
He unveiled a new mask that Holtby was going to wear with the totem pole design. And Holtby basically yesterday, I believe on Sunday, put a statement out saying that he was sorry if it offended anyone of Indigenous descent, that he was trying to appropriate their artwork. And I mean, I think a real issue for some people was that, Dave Gunnarsson is not Indigenous, and it would have been better if an Indigenous artist designed it for Braden. And maybe that's the route he goes, but they'll design a new mask. And there were people that were like, this is so stupid. And I'm just like, well, yeah, your feelings weren't hurt, idiot. Like, you're that upset about a goalie's mask. Like, all these people that are commenting, whatever, they've never even met Braden Holtby. So like, why do you care? I just don't understand. That's
what it boiled down to for me on that. And as a matter of fact, you said that might be the way he goes. Actually, part of his statement was,
it'd be cool.
If it wasn't on Sunday, it was the next day he added to his apology saying he's actually commissioned an Indigenous artist to work on the design of his new mask.
I love that. And you know what?
Certainly Dave Gunnarsson will probably still paint it.
Sure.
Or whatever. But he has enlisted an Indigenous artist / painter to work on the design of his new mask.
I love that. And you know what, man? And that kills me inside a little more that Braden Holtby's not a Washington Capital anymore.
Well, and you see,
he was just the best ambassador.
Part of me is on the fence here. It would have been very nice for him to think of that on his own, especially in today's day and age.
Yeah, it was an oversight.
I am
for sure.
kind of in the boat, and again, maybe this is a scenario where I'm not educated enough or done enough research on. That is one where I just couldn't quite connect the dots. Like everything he said, it was about paying tribute to a very popular image in Vancouver that was done by an Indigenous person, and he was trying to pay tribute. I just don't understand, I guess, the backlash on the fact that it wasn't original, that it was Dave Gunnarsson, I guess, that painted versus somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, again, and I'm sorry to sound like a broken record here or sound like I have nothing to offer to the conversation. I just don't care. Like I just think I think the world of Braden Holtby. He's one of my all-time favorite athletes. Obviously for sure what he did on the ice. And I don't know if anybody knows this, but he made a pretty nice save in the Stanley Cup playoffs that one time. You should Google it. But outside of that, just a phenomenally nice person. I had the pleasure of meeting him twice. Incredible guy.
Yeah.
Just cares about people. Marched in the Washington Pride Parade every year. Like made it a point to become part of local groups, LGBTQ and BIPOC groups in Washington and try and lend whatever platform he could as a famous athlete in town to better their cause. Like Vancouver fans, like you have just one of the best dudes. Yeah. In sports that's going to be part of your organization and help you win a lot of games. And Braden Holtby, oh man, I'm going to miss him. What a great guy.
Well, when you're talking about great guys and inclusivity, you'll enjoy one of our guests that we do have coming up. I'm going to be bringing on Brock McGillis to talk with us.
I can't wait.
In the very near future. A friend of mine from Sudbury. We never had the pleasure of playing on the exact same team. But he came into the junior team I was playing for right as I was leaving. So we got a little bit of a connection that way, but, Sudbury boy who's been very, vocal about trying to change a lot of the stigma and, I guess perhaps, masculine heavy hockey culture. He's taken a shot and put himself out there. So I can't wait to get him on the show. It's going to be an exciting one and an educational one for us for sure when we get him on. But I guess we can flip the script right now to something that was something I know was close to you and you were quite passionate about. And that was the Lou Marsh Award winner,
Alfonso Davis, a co-winner, and some of the unfortunate things he was subjected to after his big win.
Yeah, so obviously Alfonso Davis is a co-winner of the Lou Marshall Award with Laurent Duvernay-Tardif of the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, a weird year. Would LDT, be in the running in a regular year? Probably not, but because of COVID and the extraordinary sacrifices he's made, I don't disagree with this. The third time ever that there's been co-winners or a tie, an outright tie in the voting room. I'm completely okay with this, but like I said, Alfonso Davis was my guy. And I won't rehash what he did. Google it. The kid is absolutely incredible. What's unfortunate is that, if many of you know, or maybe some of you don't, he is dating another young footballer. Her name is Jordan Huitema. She is French, I believe. She actually might be Canadian now that I think about it, but she plays in the French Women's League for Paris Saint-Germain. I just like saying the name. And they're together. Now, Jordan Huitema is a young white woman, and Alfonso Davis is a young black athlete. And there's nothing wrong with that. But apparently for some people there still is, because she had a post of them vacationing together and people were saying just the most abhorrently racist crap. And it's just like, it's so crappy, man, to see this still happening in 2020. And people think that athletes are beyond human in some respects. And what I mean by that is they think some people just see athletes as on the court or the field of play, the golf course, whatever. And they don't consider that person who is a person like you and I exists outside of your television screen. And so, they get subjected to stuff like this all the time, and it's not right. And especially when it's racist bullcrap that one of Canada's favorite sons was subjected to over the weekend. And it really pissed me off. It broke my heart. Like, this kid has done literally something that no other Canadian athlete in the sport of soccer, football for my British friends, has done ever. He is the greatest hope for our Canadian national soccer team. And he, just getting crapped on by the worst pigs in their mom's basement. And it really bummed me out. It just bummed me out. And like I said before with the, offensive team names, and you're bent out of shape about that. If you're bent out of shape about a guy being black, turn this show off. I don't even want people involved. I want this show to do well. I don't want anybody who has that ideology listening to this show. I don't want
the simple thing here is social media was great in its inception for so many reasons. Brought you so much closer to the stars, your favorite athletes, your favorite actors, musicians than you could have been before. And it very quickly morphed into a hiding ground for the absolute lowest cockroaches of this world, to hide behind fake accounts, to say things to people they would never have the cojones to say to their face.
No, absolutely not. And you're right. And like I said earlier, social media not being a great barometer of society, I do believe, even with my semi-pessimistic nature at times, mostly in the sports vein, I watched a lot of playoff losses, guys, before that cup, so sorry. But overall, I believe humanity is filled with more good people than bad people. And that said, this is unacceptable. And honestly, for the conspiracy theory crowd out there and whatever, I don't think we're that far away from a world where you have to register yourself to be able to use online accounts.
I was just about to say that.
And
this is how you stop it. This is how you stop.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
have to attach your real name
or like some
to your
yeah.
account. That's
somehow your ID, there's a way to do it. I'm not Elon Musk. He'll figure it out. You know what I mean? And it'll be in all of our Teslas that scan our thumb when we go to tweet. That's maybe what it'll be. Maybe it'll be a thing built into our phones and computers where, like, this MacBook, like, I can open it and put my finger on the little scanner and it unlocks my computer. Maybe we'll have to all register our fingerprints, and we'll have to scan a little thing on our phone to get, you know how you have the phone or the face scan.
Yep.
You'll have to scan before you're able to tweet.
Yep.
And you know what? At this point, honestly, I wouldn't hate that.
No, neither would I.
Because it would get rid so quickly of the gutless morons that do this behind, you know, kitty lick 427, like these ridiculous usernames, idiots.
Yeah,
you know,
well, and that's it, right?
Spaghetti
So
lover 45.
I'm not going to pretend to understand what somebody like Alphonso Davis went through in what should have been one of the greatest moments of his young career to this point, when he should have been celebrating, enjoying the moment, and instead was putting up with hate. I'm not a minority. I've never had to feel that kind of hate towards me, so I can't say I'll ever understand. But on the slightest of levels, I got a taste of it. I got a taste of the hate when I went viral. And
yeah, I know you did.
People came at me, accusations that were made, false accounts being put up, saying things that I never would say. People private messaging me until I figured out how to close my messages on Twitter, wishing death upon me, calling me a fat, sweaty hillbilly.
Yeah, it's brutal, man. It's
unbelievable. So I would be 100% all for a social media world where you have to be held accountable for what you say. And you know, one of the things that I was going through when this all started was I was challenged by Todd Shapiro, a gentleman who does our guest segments every once in a while, Hot Toddy's Hot Takes. He challenged me on air to quit smoking. And in the first, you know, that gained a lot of hype. Brendan Shanahan even tweeted out, "Best of luck, Dark Guy, on your mission to quit." I had a partnership with Nicorette. I was serious about this. And the one night I really fell off the wagon and didn't get back on was some people, some ignorant, faceless haters on Twitter made a couple comments to me about my wife, or now ex-wife, and my mother.
Yeah, and like
comments that if they would have said to my face in a bar or outside of the arena, might not have ended the same way.
That's the thing, though. These people never have the courage to actually do that, and the majority of the people, you know, just in closing, and you know, the majority of people that are throwing all this garbage at the feet of the brilliant, talented feet of Alphonso Davis, the majority of them, if they stepped on a football pitch and took the ball in his position on the field, they'd piss their pants. Yeah. And so I just want all of them to go away and be held accountable eventually. And you know what? All it really did when I saw that over the weekend was inspire me. I want to buy a jersey. I want to buy an Alphonso Davis jersey and show my support for him. That's what it did for me. I just saw it and said, you know what, enough of this. I want to support the kid and do what I can and buy a shirt with the name on the back. I'm not even a Bayern fan. Maybe I'll get a Canada jersey. Why not? You know, it's just there's no place for this for people like that. And if you're one of those people, I don't want you watching the Smoke Show because you don't deserve to be here, frankly. So
agreed.
Let's talk about the World Juniors, buddy.
Let's talk about the World Juniors. Now I'm about to go off.
Let's do it.
Listen, speaking of being sensitive of other people's feelings, I am not going to mention any names
Okay.
of people that are on the roster that Shane Wright should have beat out, because they are going to be scrutinized publicly hard enough over the next couple weeks as the World Juniors kicks on, the Christmas tradition kicks off. But I will say it this way. With the exception of one or two returning players, there is not a forward on that team who should be there over Shane Wright. The talent level this kid possesses, and this is, he's going to be a superstar. There is, in my mind, no questioning it. So if you're looking at Shane Wright and Team Canada going into this year's COVID World Juniors,
Yeah.
why not bring him along? You know, next year he's probably going to be on the team next year, one way or another. No doubt about it.
Yeah. Oh, for
Probably
sure.
going to, by the end of the tournament, solidify himself as the best player on the team. However, you could at least guarantee 2 World Juniors from now if he's going to be your number one player. Why not bring him in and let him experience what so many few others, I believe it's only been Gretzky, Crosby, and Connor McDavid, who had the honor of playing as 16-year-olds, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Did Gretz play as a
Yeah.
16-year-old? Yeah. Like, yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think that the whole thing is that he's 16 and I think Team Canada is going to go undefeated, especially with the fact that they're at home. They basically have all the players available, and so many of the other teams have lost players. Some teams have lost their head coach. I know what you're saying.
As
But
a
here's
16-year-old in the OHL, he had 39 goals and 38 assists, something like that,
Yeah, extremely impressive.
playing for a very unimpressive Kingston team.
Yeah, they weren't very good.
You take Shane Wright and put him with that on anybody. I've been watching this kid play for 3 years now.
Yeah, he's a really good player. I think reason why they probably didn't want to bring a 16-year-old, because, and you've seen it with the other 16-year-olds, they didn't exactly light the tournament up. And I like Shane Wright a lot. I think he is going to be a superstar. I agree. He's not Sid, though.
No,
And he's not Connor McDavid.
He's not Sid.
That's why 16-year-olds don't go.
Okay, but here's the thing. He is physically mature enough to handle it. And in a year when they've expanded the roster size because of COVID, you have more of an opportunity to bring him along and usher him in. Give him a taste of it. That way there next year when things roll around and that tournament kicks off, he's got those jitters out. He's got some experience under his belt. He's probably got a gold medal. As you said, looking at the team, they're looking pretty good up and down the line.
They are. The expanded roster, could he have shaken a spot out? Maybe. I still think Canada is so far and above better than every other roster here. They're stacked at center. Did they want to play him at the wing? Did they feel like they were going to get much out of him bringing him in as likely a 13th forward because he is 16. Not a lot of 16-year-olds have success at this tournament, if ever. It's moderate. He's not Sid. He's not McDavid. He's not Gretzky. He is a very, very good player. He's probably more in the Jack Hughes vein. I would have liked to have seen him there, even a guy like Hendrix Lapierre, of course, I'm a biased Washington fan. I thought he probably could have made the team, but he's got a lot of injury problems. Like, they've still got Byfield. They've still got McMichael. They've still got Byram. They've still got a really great team. Would it have benefited him a little bit? Probably. Are they still going to win? Yes. Is he going to be there next year and probably dummy the tournament and have 15 points? Yes. And so I feel like that's probably why they went the way they did. If they lose, of course, people come out and say, how come you didn't take this ultra-talented kid?
Yeah.
Team Canada does this, man. Hey, Ray Ferraro had 50 goals at Christmas that one year, and he didn't even get invited to camp. That famous story.
Everybody knows that because Ray tells it about 10 times a year.
As he should. He had 50 goals at Christmas. He scored 108 goals. It's a joke. But yeah, it's
okay. Maybe not 10 times, but I think I hear that story twice a year.
Because it's an incredible story. It's always around this time. He was telling it again on Overdrive the other day because it's just so ridiculous. Like, okay, he didn't make the team. Like, Ray was a small guy. No offense, Razor. I know you watch. And but to not get invited to camp, he had 52 goals. Like, that was crazy. Here's the best part about all this. I agree with what you're saying. I also kind of understand why Team Canada did this, going, is this kid going to really benefit from being the 13th forward? Whatever your opinion, the great thing is that
great thing. We could probably put together a
absolutely.
I honestly, listen, being a hockey scout, I know how it works. Everybody, all the scouts have a say. It's a group thing. I can't help but feel that it's a little lack of familiarity from the coach to Shane Wright. Some rumors floating around that beyond this camp, he had never even seen Shane play before. And I think that might be a contributing factor. And that's a little bit scary when you're talking about a talent like Shane Wright.
I'm sure that Andre Tourigny has seen Shane Wright play. I'm sure he's seen tape of him. Like, they definitely...
Tape.
I know. They definitely... Well, and he saw him at camp. Like, I just think that they said, as a 16-year-old, is he good enough to beat out a player with a little bit more junior experience, maybe a little stronger, that type of thing? Is it worth the risk of us bringing him as a likely 13th forward? And they decided no.
Well, and
I understand
that, though. Having some pretty good familiarity with Shane and a lot of the talent there. Again, I reiterate, I think it was a mistake. With the exception of one or two returning players. And again, I'm not going to single any one player out, but Shane should have been on that team. And God forbid they do stumble or have some scoring issues. They're going to have a tough time explaining why Shane Wright wasn't there.
Well, it's going to be okay, buddy, because Washington Capitals first-round pick Connor McMichael is going to score 9 goals, so it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine, buddy. Really quick.
At this point in time, I'm ready to go recruit a 16-year-old co-host. Won't aggravate me as much.
You love it, dude. You love looking forward to arguing with me. Come on. Canada's going to win anyway.
I guess one more thing before we go. Wayne Gretzky, rookie card.
Hey. 1.29.
1.29. That was fairly impressive.
Believe it's the first hockey card to ever be auctioned off at over $1 million. So 100%. Another record for the great one. He's already got 60 NHL records. I mean, the guy's got to have the most expensive card too. He's also got beautiful daughters, and his son-in-law is the #1 golfer in the world. Like, ease up, Wayne. Let somebody else achieve something. Honestly. No, it's really cool. 79 OPG set. One of the only cards that they've seen of that run to be given a 10 or gem mint condition categorization. If you know anything about appraising sports cards, gem mint is it basically means it is impeccably conditioned. It is in the best shape that it could possibly. 2.9 way, very impressive stuff. And that got me thinking, and Bar Down tweeted this out the other day off the back of that story, your favorite sports card that you have in your collection. And we both have a selection here. I'll let you go first. You're the host of the show. So what do you have here? Your favorite card, not necessarily the most expensive card, which mine happens to be, but just your favorite card you have. What have you got for us here?
Well, it was a rookie card of a little known superstar. And this is from March 18th, 1993. And that right there is actually me. So no,
that's
all
me,
aside,
he says.
I've got two. And while you say yours, your favorites are not your most expensive, or your favorite is your most expensive.
I think
two. Like I said, I got in late, so I was unable to locate the one. But my number one card, my favorite card, I actually don't have it right here to show you. It's a John Tanner rookie card with the Quebec Nordiques.
Wow.
That's autographed. And being from Sudbury, being a hockey card collector, avid hockey lover as a kid, but anyway, John Tanner, sitting on the bench in Sudbury. I don't know. I can't be more than 7 or 8 years old at the time. I've got his rookie card in a Quebec Nordiques jersey. So the season before, he gets called up for like 2 games, and Upper Deck OPG put out a card of John Tanner. So there I am, this wide-eyed little kid, run over to the bench in between. And he grabs the card. He didn't even know that OPG made a card of uniform. He looked at it. He looked at me and he's like, "Are you serious?" And then a couple of the players on the bench, I want to say Jamie Matthews, a couple others were like, "Tans, what's going on?" This card, I start freaking out now because this card gets handed all the way down the bench and back because everybody wants to see John Tanner's rookie card in a Quebec Nordiques uniform, to which he signs it, gives it to me and says, "Have a great night, kid." That was, to this day, just because of the experience and the story behind it, easily my favorite hockey card. And I know it's in this box right here beside me. I just didn't have enough time to dig it out. So
that's a great story, man. Like I said, this is probably one of my most prized possessions. I'm not going to tell you what I paid for it, and I'm not going to tell you what it's worth now. I don't want to get robbed, but this is an Ovechkin rookie card. It is a 10 out of 10 gem mint condition card. There are 10 of these in the world, and this is an in the game Upper Deck card. If I can show you there, that's signed by Mr. Ovechkin. And this little thing here that you see next to Ovi's beautiful face when he still had all of his teeth is a chunk of his CCM Vector Pro stick that he used to score his 50th goal in his rookie season, which is pretty friggin' cool. Absolutely. Again, I'm not going to tell you what I paid for it, but this is a cool card. Obviously, he didn't sign it in front of me. This is one of those pre-packaged special cards that they put out. I've had the pleasure of meeting Ovi a couple times. He signed a puck for me. I don't know if I have that here. Yes, I do. He signed this puck for me in Washington at their fan fest. They held a practice, and he signed this puck for me, which was an amazing experience. But card wise, just having the chunk of that, it's pretty cool.
Absolutely. And I'm going to give you one more. And again, not diving into my dollar value ones. These are my more sentimental value ones just because of the stories. This was going to probably hurt some of my dark guy / Leaf fans.
Oh, no.
But,
is it a Montreal card?
Oh, even worse.
Oh, a Boston card. Wow. Oh,
this
Cam
right here.
Neely. Wow.
Now, the Cam Neely, when the Upper Deck company started doing these great artist renditions as checklists, they were pretty popular.
That's right. Yeah.
Now, the reason why this Boston Bruins one is at the top of my favorite cards ever is not for what's on the front, but it's for what's on the back. I had the opportunity to meet the very controversial, but in my opinion, one of the greatest hockey minds to ever grace the earth, Don Cherry.
Nice.
He was in Sudbury for the opening of one of his Don Cherry restaurants. He was doing an open signing, come into Don Cherry's. I'll be there to sign autographs. And again, so I had the opportunity to meet Grapes and get his autograph. The reason why this goes to the top of the list is because of how do I say this politely? What I think may have been an inebriated error in his signature.
Uh-huh.
So after I know he had a couple beverages, the autograph reads, "To pal, my Jason, Don Cherry."
I love it. That's hilarious. My Jason.
"To pal, my Jason, Don Cherry."
That's
I love you, Grapes.
fantastic.
I got all the respect for you in the world, but I had to share that one.
Rock'em sock'em, baby. Let's go.
"To pal, my Jason, Don Cherry."
To pal, my Jason. That's
that
too funny.
I think had an outside influence to how that came out.
And you know what, man? Not a bad card to have. I know it's a Boston guy, but Cam Neely is one of the best power forwards ever. Kick his ass, Seabass. Let's go.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, what else was I going to do? Other than that, I was going to lift my shirt up and get Grapes aside my chest or something. So
there you go, buddy. What a show we've had here, man. Fun little end to it. And again, make sure you tune in every Monday. We do these at 7. We love for you guys to watch and be involved with the Smoke Show. This has been another fun one, dude.
Yeah, we're going to be looking at in the near future, trying to figure out exactly how to make this a little more interactive. Investigate some, maybe do some mailbags. We got a couple stellar guests lined up. Like I said earlier, we got Brock McGillis lined up. He's going to be a fantastic guest. We got one or other two that are confirmed, but I'm going to hold you into suspense. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at the follow CKNX_Drury on Instagram, on Twitter. Sorry. Be sure to check out his show called MWO Sports. They have a good time over there as well. Thanks always to Matt, our producer. Huge thank you to the Dry County Band for letting us use Hey Hey Cheers as our opening song. And most of all, thanks to all of you for tuning in and supporting us every week. We're going to be here for the long haul. Hope you're enjoying the show. And just remember, where there's smoke, there's fire.
There's fire.